Why is now today any different? And I'm making them sell themselves to me. Let me say it again. I'm making this prospect still sell themselves to me by asking that question, right? When everyone else would be like, whoa, you're overweight. How does that make you feel? Oh, it's got to be horrible. When you look at yourself in the mirror, you feel dead inside. Oh my gosh. And they start bawling their eyes out. Cool. They're never going to change. You just made them cry and you got nowhere. They're not going to pay you money. All right, how do you go into pain during the sales conversation the right way, right? Everyone talks about addressing the pain of a prospect, addressing how to go deep into that pain. Well, but no one ever explains what the heck does that actually mean and how to do it correctly, right? When most people talk about pain, they think like your prospect must be like crying. You have to open up all these like wounds in their heart and make them talk about how much life sucks and is horrible, like the blade and twisted and all this stuff. And yeah, that's cool, but the goal here is not to make your prospects cry, right? That's not what it means to go like deep into pain. What we want to do is we want to address pain based off of identity, right? Because the goal here, if you're watching this series, is you want to charge a premium high ticket price, whether it's for yourself or for somebody else, right? And more than likely, you are selling a product or service that also requires effort from somebody else's end. That is a big ask, right? For instance, if I were to charge high ticket to teach somebody how to run an ultra marathon, right? That's a lot of training. That's a long time to be able to run your first ultra marathon race if you've never even ran before, right? Which means that if I want to charge a high ticket price, I need this individual to pay me a lot of money for my time to help them, and not only part ways with their money, but they must also actually commit to following the plan, the diet, showing up every day and running mile after mile after mile after mile after mile for hours. I know what all is entailed in that because I have a running background. I used to be a runner competitively. So that's a really big ask. So today we're going to cover part 2 of the step 3 of the 8-step series. If you have not watched part 1 or any other part of this series yet, go down in the description below here. Make sure you watch the videos. You are caught up to speed. Very, very important that you watch all these in order, okay? So let's go ahead and get into it. So in part 1, we covered building rapport. You guys watched all that, you know, you're up to speed. Now we're gonna finally bring out the line. Again, if you have no idea what I'm talking about the line, watch the previous videos of this playlist and get caught up because this is gonna be very, very important. So I'm gonna teach you guys how to know where to go with the conversation and what to go deep on to be able to open up the deep pain to anchor to it, okay? Based off of identity. Stay with me. This is very, very important, and this is gonna literally be the game changer when it comes to actually getting people to move forward, qualifying somebody correctly, and putting yourself in a position to qualify them and not make them sell themselves to you, or not make them sell you to them. And we're gonna talk about going deep into pain, what to look for, what kind of questions to ask. So if you guys have built your own script, or if you're on someone else's team and maybe they have a sales script, right? At this part, people will give you type of open-ended questions to ask, and that's okay. Like, why are you here? Like, what's your problem? How long have you been having that, right? You've all seen those on sales scripts before, right? And the goal of a script is to follow a framework. It's not to be scripted. So there's a million different ways to ask the same question, but oftentimes we don't know where to go with it. I get this from closers all the time, is I don't know what to ask and I don't know what to do next. I don't even know where to go with the information. Well, you don't know where to go with the information because you don't have a clear snapshot. You don't have a bird's eye overview of what it is they're telling you. That's where the line comes in. And that's why I use this, and I write this on a piece of paper every single time. So the line goes like this. If I'm talking to a prospect, I'm gonna go P stands for past, N stands for now, and F stands for future. In step 3, being rapport and pain, we are covering here. The past, right? The future comes later, okay? Right now, we're covering this section of the line, right here. So, once we start out, we're building rapport, you nailed your intro, you gotten this far, right? What do we do now? What you wanna do is on your piece of paper, whatever it is you draw on, you wanna actually map out a timeline understanding the journey that your prospect went through. And understand this, the goal here is to address 3 things. It's called CIC, right? CIC stands for character, identity, and cost, okay? This is how we address the identity of a person that we want to close, okay? So let me give you the same example before, right? Let's say I'm closing somebody at high ticket, it's weight loss. You have to close somebody on a, I don't know, let's say it's a $6,000 package, okay? You're hired by an influencer, you have your own business, you're a personal training coach, you have a $6,000 package, and you're working with this individual for, let's go 6 months, right? All right, I'm gonna train you for 6 months. I'm gonna turn you from a couch potato into a freaking machine in the gym. You're gonna lose weight, you're gonna look good, you're gonna feel good, blah, 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 all the good stuff, right? Well, cool. Now, you have a problem. You need to get this individual to not only part ways with $6,000, but you also need to make sure that they're qualified to be committed. Because even if you charge this person $6,000, what good is it to you if they refund? Or even worse, what good is it to you if they pay you money, they complain the whole time, they don't follow the plan you gave them, and they don't get results? Seems like that's a waste of your time, and also seems like a waste of their time. I'd imagine as a closer or an entrepreneur, you'd want them to get results so you can leverage them as a case study and testimonial. So it's very important that we actually close them, and closing is what? I've talked about this in previous videos. Closing is getting this person to take action on the next steps. Not action to part ways with their money, but to take action on whatever it is you tell them to do so that they get results. How do we do that? We do that by going deep into the identity of the person. So if I was talking to this person and I'm going into their problems, the first thing you want to do is you always want to gauge a timeline for how long they've had a problem, and you want to map it out, okay? So I would ask this person, like, what's your problem? I've been trying to lose weight. How long have you been trying to lose weight? Notice that I'm always focusing on time. Put that here in blue, time. Now, when I'm mapping out my line, I have a clear picture of what today is. So whatever today's date is, you'd be like today's date. And I want to go backwards. So let's say this person is like, well, I've been wanting to lose weight for the past, literally I've been struggling with this for 2 years. 2 years, okay? I would literally, I kid you not, go to my paper and my line, and I would write 2 years. Because I'm gaining that, okay, I'm putting myself in the mind of the prospect and saying, this individual has literally been struggling with this problem for 2 freaking years, okay? Well, what have you tried before? Again, I'm just looking at this, okay, cool, 2 years. Well, what has this person tried in the past 2 years to lose weight, right? What have they tried before? Let's say they're like, oh man, I've tried everything. I've tried keto, I've tried intermittent fasting, we'll say IF, like different diets. I've, P90X, all this stuff, right? Well, how long ago? When was the last time you've tried a program? When's the last time you've done something? When was the last program? When was the last diet? And how long did that diet last, right? So if I get this picture and I'm like, okay, this individual has tried keto, they tried intermittent fasting, and then, well, out of all that stuff, did you ever get results? Right? Now, what most prospects will want to do is they're going to try to put everything on you, right? They're going to say, this is me. Well, actually, this is the prospect, but they're going to try putting it on me. This is me, right? And they're going to want to know things like, well, what makes me different than P90X? What makes me different? What kind of diet are we going to be doing? Is it going to be keto? Is it going to be intermittent fasting? In their head, they're thinking, all right, buddy, I've already tried all this crap, right? And if they tried all that stuff, that tells me that I need to find something that's addressed to their character, their identity, and I need to let them know what it's costing them being a poor identity. That's the goal here. The entire goal of this conversation is for me to let this individual know that, hey, buddy, your identity sucks. You're fat right now because of you. You're not fat because of me. You're not fat because of keto. You're not fat because of intermittent fasting. You're sure as hell not fat because of P90X. You're fat because you suck, right? So how can I deliver that fatal blow to this individual? Here's how we're gonna do it. By asking the questions and being like, I would literally ask this person, well, okay, you've tried all this stuff, but and all these different programs, how many programs in total would you say you have invested in? Right? Because again, I'm trying to gauge and qualify this individual for my stuff, right? But if this person has bounced from program to program to program, that's a problem. Do I really want to spend time training somebody and dedicating 6 months of my life to coaching this individual if they don't follow through, if they don't do anything at all? I have to address that because again, don't forget, I'm here to qualify you, not the other way around. So if I bring up the elephant in the room and say, listen, you've tried all this stuff, that concerns me. right? What went wrong with P90X? What went wrong with the keto diet? What went wrong with intermittent fasting? And then they start talking, right? That's my first layer. That's me hitting what went wrong here. That's kind of like my layer 1 question, right? So what I want to do is I want to find something that's related to his identity, he or she's identity, or their character, and I want to anchor to that, and I want to go deep into it. So let's say I can get this person to admit that, you know what, if I say something like, well, I know I've seen people with P90X, and they have amazing case studies. I've seen a lot of people that gotten results from P90X. But what I don't understand is, why didn't you get results? Because I know the case study is not forged. There's something missing here. You see how I'm saying that to them? You see how I'm addressing and I'm trying to get an understanding of the situation? I'm not there to be their friend and get friend zoned by Rapport. I'm there to be the expert and say, well, what's the problem? Why didn't you get results with P90X, right? Now, if I can get this person go deep and they're like, you know what? I tried it. I've tried all this stuff, and I was distracted. Okay, tell me more about that. What do you mean that you got distracted? Well, every single time I want to go to do this, I have a family, I have kids, I work a 9-to-5 job, I'm putting in 6 to 8 hours a day, and I have to have time with my kids, and I haven't been able to prioritize. Gotcha. So it wasn't a matter of that, that keto didn't work for you, or intermittent fasting didn't work for you, the programs didn't work for you. It's just that you just couldn't commit to the discipline of being able to follow through because of the time issue with your family, right? And if, let's say they say, yes, cool, I just got a head nod. Even better, I just got them to admit to a character flaw. This is powerful. If I can get this prospect to admit that, hey, it wasn't this, it was me, they're the problem, I'm already on the part to winning, but I want to keep going deeper into that, right? Now, I want to bring them back to today. This is how you qualify. If this individual in this example were to tell me that they couldn't commit to being disciplined, well, what's changed to today? Again, I get to put all the weight on the world on your shoulders. Okay, well, Mr. Prospect, if you've had that problem, you haven't been able to commit for 2 years, that's a long time, right? What's changed? Why is now, today, any different? You guys see how I'm asking that question? Notice how I'm addressing their pain, I'm digging into the problems, but I'm saying, why is now today any different? And I'm making them sell themselves to me. Let me say it again. I'm making this prospect still sell themselves to me by asking that question, right? When everyone else would be like, whoa, you're overweight. How does that make you feel? Well, it's got to be horrible. When you look at yourself in the mirror, you feel dead inside. Oh my gosh. And they start bawling their eyes out. Cool. They're never going to change. You just made them cry and you got nowhere. They're not going to pay you money. They're not going to take action. You didn't do your job. Your job is to change their life and change their beliefs, right? So you got to do so on the call. So by addressing this, getting them to agree here, what now different? Now they're going to tell you, well, why today? Are you serious? Has now changed, right? I'm assuming you still have the same kids. Are they just older? What's different? Why do you think that now's today to be able to go put in the time? You and I both know if you don't put in the time, the same thing's going to happen. You're not going to get results. So why are you here? What's changed? And then I want to keep going and address this too. Now, to add a little bit of sugar, now that I've addressed a character flaw and I want to go deeper into that, right? I want to see what else, how can I go even deeper into this and associate it with the key thing? So when you address something that's based on how they show up, their identity or their character, you want to relate it to cost, right? So this is very, very important. You want to have the prospect acknowledge their flaw and what it has cost them from having that flaw. So out of all the diets and everything you've tried before in the past, the different programs, I mean, into those diets, into learning the knowledge for it and all the programs, how much would you say you've invested? It's a very powerful question. How much have you invested? And let's say it's for, oh gosh, I've easily wasted like $3,000. Let's say they say 3K, right? Total, probably more, 3K plus, right? I now want this prospect to own up and admit to me that because they did not take it seriously, because they didn't have the discipline to actually take this seriously, they have wasted. Sounds to me like because you weren't disciplined enough to show up, you didn't prioritize your time, you didn't take this seriously to be able to get results, you not only wasted 2 years of your life, but this cost you $3,000. Gone, down the drain, never gonna see it again. That statement's very powerful. What I'm doing is I'm making them admit their flaw, claim it, and also agree to claiming the cost. Basically what I'm saying is, this is why you have sucked, and this is what it costs you from sucking, because you have not done what you're supposed to do, right? And then now I want to bring them back today, and I want to know what's changed. Are they willing to commit to changing? This is where the change happens in identity and how you close somebody in identity. Can I get this person to agree that, hey, I'm not disciplined? Accountability, because what most people will do is they'll just say, well, I just need accountability, I need accountability. They're gonna put everything on you, right? Well, what does accountability even look like? What are they looking for accountability, right? Like if it's most people would be like, most closers or a business owner would be like, oh, I'll be there for you every step of the way. Like if you need me to go and show up at your door, I'll come knocking at your door at 5 a.m. and make sure that you're there and you're gonna show up every day. Like they do something outrageous like that. No. If someone hits me with that, again, I'm gonna address their identity. You really need, if this is something that you're serious about, you really are not committed enough to where you can actually prioritize your time, you would need somebody to show up to your door every single day. Like, again, I'm qualifying them. If they say that, that's a problem. I have to get them to agree that they're willing to change. So if you've been struggling, you haven't been taking it seriously, today's different. You're telling me that knowing that this has cost you 2 years of life, it's cost you $3,000, you're willing to actually put in the time, energy, and effort. You're actually willing to be disciplined and do whatever it takes, even if it means following a proven plan and do what it takes to be able to move forward, if it means getting to your goal of XYZ, right? That's assuming you have the goal. Goal is actually gonna be the next step of this, which we'll go into. It's very simple. And if they say yes, then cool. What you want to do is you want to keep going deep until you can find a character identity flaw, get them to admit. Now, what happens if somebody's stubborn? People ask me this all the time. What if they're like, they just won't give me anything to work with? Then you just assume. So one thing I like to do is I like to guide a prospect to deep pain. And you give them choices. I like to give prospects 2 choices, right? They're like, oh, well, I'm struggling, blah, 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 I didn't get any results. And they're not opening up to you. You can literally just ask them, listen, was it because you feel like you didn't have enough accountability, or it felt like you just weren't disciplined enough to actually like move forward with it? I'd give them a choice. Oh, well, to be honest with you, you're right, I wasn't disciplined enough, okay? Why weren't you disciplined enough, right? They just anchored. I'm anchoring to what their choice was. You get choice A or choice B. Both choices suck, and both choices are gonna make you take responsibility of where you are currently today. Let them choose, guide them to the decision, and then keep going deep into it. And once you get the result of, people tell you, well, I was afraid, right? Some people, if it's business, well, fear. Okay, cool, you got something. The character and identity flaw is fear has held them back, right? And you need to get them to admit to it. So think about it this way, right? To build habits over time for this individual to become the identity, let's say this was bodybuilding, it takes a lot of time to identify as a bodybuilder. You have to show up every single day. You have to put years in the work in the making, consistent action, right? Now, I can't get them to actually have that change on a call, but I can get them to commit to making the change, right? So if they're coming to me and they want to do a bodybuilding competition, and I'm going to charge them $6,000, well, I know, well, you weren't disciplined here. Are you willing to change, and are you willing to commit to changing, knowing that it's cost you 2 years of your life, knowing that $3,000 is in the drain, and knowing that if you don't have that discipline that's going to take to get results, you're never going to get to where you're going to be. Are you really willing today to make that change, or are you going to keep operating how you have been for the past 2 years? That's how you have to say it. Now, the way I'm saying it takes courage. You have to have the courage and conviction to say this and ask these questions. And anytime I'm mapping something out, what a lot of prospects will do also, this even happens in B2B all the time, is they'll say something to you that contradicts what they've told you before, and you have to have the courage to bring it up, right? So let's say they just don't want to admit that they didn't put forth any effort, right? They're like, oh, in the beginning, they're like, yeah, I don't get it. I struggle losing weight, and I work out consistently. I've been working out consistently for the past 2 years, right? Okay, cool. Gotcha. So working out consistently, nothing's here. And then, you find out that they have a gym membership that they're paying for, and you're like, okay, well, walk me through this past month. When's the last time you have gone, later on in the conversation, you've gone to the gym? I went about 1 week ago, and then we just got back from a vacation, and before the vacation, it was last month, right? But me, active listening and looking at my piece of paper, I remember, well, wait a second, they tell me that they always work out consistently. right? I can address that. Hold on, Mr. Prospect, I'm confused. Write this down. This is very, very important. This is my favorite line to go to. If I see something and I have to call somebody out on their BS, let's call it what it is, a bunch of BS, I like to say the line, I'm confused. This is how I can get people to open up. Whoa, Mr. Prospect, I'm confused because earlier in our conversation, you told me that you've been working out consistently, but from what I'm seeing here, you went to the gym 1 week ago and you bounced after 10 minutes because you had to get back to your kids. And then before that, it was only a month. That doesn't seem very consistent to me. What's going on? Right? Now, because I called him out on it, they have no choice but to address and be honest, because no one has the courage to call them out on their BS. Not you. You're watching this video, you're gonna have the courage to be able to do so. So there's a lot that goes into this. You do not, let me say this again, until you keep asking questions on this phase and this step, I don't care if it takes 20 minutes, if it takes 30 minutes, if it takes 40 or 50 minutes and you have no more time, you do not go and pitch them. You stay on this step, step 3 of building rapport and going deep into pain until you find a character or an identity flaw that you can anchor to, right? You only need one. Like what most people will do, they have scripts and it irritates the heck out of me, is they'll ask question after question just for the sake of asking questions. Oh, okay, well tell me this next, tell me this next. Anchor to one thing, go deep into it, latch onto it, you're good. Congratulations. You found their identity flaw, you found something that they've been struggling with, you let them know what it cost them, you are allowed to move on to the next step. But until you figure out what that one thing is, you cannot close that person. They have to agree to change their identity, they have to agree to what it's cost them, and they have to agree to change, otherwise they're not gonna be a good fit. Now, if you find somebody who's stubborn, which is very, very rare, I mean, literally, like very rare. I know people are gonna be asking me this in the comment. What happens if I can't get there? They just don't wanna open up and they're just really stubborn. They don't wanna change. Rarely happens. If you do this right, you're gonna find something. But in that case, guess what? You're done. You disqualify them. There's no step 4, there's no step 5, there is no close. You don't pitch them because they aren't a good fit. Why the hell am I gonna pitch somebody $6,000 to go work with them for 6 months of my life if I know they're not gonna show up? And if this person's like, well, okay, well, are you willing to change and stuff and commit, prioritize, knowing that you have children? And they're like, no, I can't, man, I don't have time. Okay, well, listen, this isn't gonna work. We're not gonna be a good fit because it is gonna take time. I am gonna have to work with you. And all of our clients that we work with, I work with 6 months. And if you're telling me you're not willing to change that, it's just not gonna be a good fit. I appreciate your time so much. I wish you all the best. If you never need anything, here's some resources. Check out this video, do this. I'd like to gift you with this book, yada, yada, whatever. Give them value, give them the heck off the phone. Your job is done. Congratulations, you're done. Because the goal here is to qualify, not to convince, not to sell. Any other BS salesman out there would just tell this person why. That's okay, it's completely okay. You know why you didn't get results is because you didn't have accountability. Oh, you're right. Those programs did suck. I didn't get any accountability, nothing. Here, we totally give you accountability. We have an amazing program. Here's everything that we do. Here's all of our clients. Here's everything. That's what most people will do. You just go down the rabbit hole of just selling, exploring why this is the right fit, why you're better than everybody else, right? That's not putting and holding this person responsible. That's why you're gonna have a high refund rate and you're gonna have nightmare clients that are gonna be a pain in the ass because you didn't qualify them. And that's not what the goal of this program is all about. This is to follow a process and to get people who are gonna win, who are gonna get results and put money in your bank account and have a high retention. That's what it's all about for your business and also for your clients if you're closing for somebody else. So hopefully this makes sense. I hope you guys found this valuable. If you like what you see so far, make sure that you are subscribed to the channel so you can get notified when the future steps come out. Like this, turn on bell notifications, put in any questions you have in the comments below so I can make sure that I can address them, and I can probably even address them in future videos. See you guys in the next video.